Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Evans, and I'm the founder of the Jerusalem Prayer Team, a small little organization of 77 million Christian Zionists. That represents 10% of the Christian Zionist world. There's approximately 777 million, so I just got 10%. So I can say this to you right from the start. I do not represent all the evangelical Christian Zionists, just 10%. And that 10% is important. Now, I want you to understand, I haven't been sent here by the Prime Minister. I haven't even talked to him in a year. He has no comprehension of what I'm saying. But I can tell you this. I flew in last night, and I've been in nonstop meetings at this hotel with ministers of the Knesset. Ministers of the Knesset who have to support the unity government for it to stand. Nonstop. I just finished my last one moments ago. You know every one of their names if I said their names. And I'm going to tell you something in a moment that's going to surprise you. And you're going to understand that Bibi Netanyahu's death was greatly exaggerated. Greatly exaggerated. And you'll understand why when I tell you what I'm going to tell you from the ministers of the Knesset who I've been meeting with all day long. I've only been here one day. I flew in last night. I fly out tonight. So here we go. First, I want to tell you about Friends of Zion. Friends of Zion is not a right-wing organization. It's not a left-wing organization. It's simply Friends of Zion. That's all. And because it's Friends of Zion, it's non-political. Shimon Peres was our chairman. People say, what? You are an evangelical, aren't you a Kahanist? Why in the world would Shimon Peres, the dove, want to partner with you? Because he loved me, and I loved him. We loved each other dearly. We had so many meetings together. We presented my award to 20 world leaders. And before he passed, he and I were with the Pope. And he said to the Pope, I want Michael to tell you his story. So I said to the Pope, my mother was an Orthodox Jew. She was a beautiful lady. She married a very handsome soldier. They got married. She woke up one day and realized she was married to a Jew hater, my father. He was a racist. He hated Jews. He hated blacks too. He would say, the blacks are ruining the country and the Jews are running it. That was my father. But he had an obsession. His obsession was my mother had an affair with a Jewish man and I wasn't his son. So he abused me year after year after year. And when I'm talking about abuse, I'm not talking about a slap. I'm talking a man who would take me down the basement, strip me naked, take an extension cord, and grab me by one arm and beat me until I would urinate all over myself until I would pass out, and then throw me in a dirt cellar. That was my father, a professing Christian. Brother Bob, they called him. At the age of 11, he was beating up my mother. He did every Friday night, came in drunk and would beat her up. You Jewish whore, that's a bastard upstairs, that's not my son. And I'd cry, I was so ashamed. Couldn't defend my poor mother. Got my courage up. And I screamed to the top of my lungs, stop it! He ran up the stairs. He picked me up by my throat above his head and he strangled me. I was such a little guy. I remember looking at those bloodshot eyes and I thought, I'm dead. I'm so dead. In school that Tuesday, they asked the children, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was stuttering because I was abused. I couldn't look at a man in the eye. And I said, 20. Everyone laughed. My goal was to be alive at 20. That's all. But now I knew I'm not making it to 20. I'm dead tonight. I passed out. I went unconscious. I woke up in a fetal position covered in my own dried vomit. Now I was mad. I was angry that I was alive. Really angry. And I cursed God, screaming, why was I born? This man never called me son. He never said, I love you. He never affirmed me. The kid that's talking to you right now should be in a mental institution or a drug program or an alcoholic or a prison for killing somebody. Any psychologist will tell you a kid like that has no hope. But all of a sudden, something happened to me. I didn't hear a sound, but I sensed something. I couldn't defend one Jew against a Jew hater. I know why I'm born, to defend all the Jews. Now, you wrote in your newspaper yesterday that this guy converts Jews. That's complete BS. Somebody did. It's complete BS. I live my life to defend the Jewish people and to combat anti-Semitism. That's all I do. I do it full time. And I've got 22 death threats on me right now from crazies for doing it. And my son has them on him too. And I'll tell you why. Why is this going on? Well, wait a second. Before I get into my thing, I've got to make an apology. I want to personally apologize to Natalie Bennett because I used some very harsh statements and some very rude language. And that wasn't right. And I want to apologize to him for that. Mr. Bennett has actually been a very strong Zionist most of the time that I've known him. Very strong Zionist. And for that, he deserves more respect. And I didn't give him that respect he deserves. So I need to get that out of the way. Now, why did I call this meeting and what I want to talk about? I want to talk about your election. I've been doing this for 40 years, since Begin. And only one reason. We're called defenders of Zion. We are Zionists, right through to our gut. My base will give their life for the Jewish people. We are Zionists to our core. Every bit of our blood is Zionist. We believe it, eat it, we sleep it, we dream it. It's important to me. I met with Iran's nutjob president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, at the Warwick Hotel in New York. And he said to me, I like Jews. A couple of Jews brought him a little silver gift. They were anti-Zionist. I like Jews, but I hate Zionists. I said, really? Yes. Now, that may seem confusing to you, but it's not if you understand what really is going on here. You just had a war. Who was your war with? You probably don't know. Oh yeah, I know, it was with Gaza. No, it was not. You didn't fight a war with Gaza. You fought a war with the mad mullahs of Tehran. They orchestrated the whole thing. They orchestrated from the Temple Mount. They orchestrated in Lod. They knew exactly how to time everything, including the timing of the war timed it around your election. They knew exactly what they were doing. Jihad. Yeah. Excuse me. Good to see you. How are you? You look younger. So, you have this test. They gave you a test. They hit you with everything they could hit you with. They wanted to see how you were going to respond. How did you respond? And what kind of a war did they fight, by the way? They fought 4 wars, and you lost all of them. They fought a proxy war, even though your soldiers were safe. They won that proxy war and strengthened their hand with the PA and with the cash cows of the world. Secondly, they fought an ideological war. You can't win ideological wars, Israel. How do you win wars of ideas? You have an idea, I have an idea. But there's several billion people that have ideas too. Ideological wars are almost impossible for a tiny state to win. They fought an ideological war. They fought a media war. You lost it too. They fought a proxy war, and they fell, they won. You fell, you won. But now, in the midst of all this, did you think about all these other wars they fought and won? Let's talk about them. One, the cyber war they fought. They fought a cyber war, and they're targeted Facebook. They targeted not only Facebook, but they targeted the Apple and Google apps of Facebook. And they targeted to drive the numbers down from 5 to 1. And we're not talking about thousands or hundreds of thousands. We're talking about millions of pro-Hamas Muslims who hate you because you're Zionist. They hate me because I'm a Zionist too. And so what happened to Facebook? Facebook went into a complete panic attack. Yes, they went into a panic attack over this. This was a terrible crisis for them. And so, in the midst of this panic attack, they had a code that they used for it, and all the hashtags had Free Palestine or Gaza under attack. So here's Facebook. They went to a code SEV1. This is the highest severity on Facebook, outside of Facebook completely being shut down. You say, I didn't know that. What's that got to do with Zionists? Nothing. At the same time, 200 Palestinians who worked for Facebook signed a letter to Mark Zuckerberg stating that you're not showing sympathy. And they were angry because he did something else. He used the word on Instagram, terror, for Hamas. And they demanded that be stopped. Because you're in Gaza doesn't mean you're a terrorist. Now, here I come. It's the 14th of May. I filmed evangelical leaders, you know them. Reverend Franklin Graham, son of Billy Graham. Governor Mike Huckabee. CBN President Gordon Robertson, Trump advisors, Pastor Paula White, Jack Graham, actor John Boyd, Pat Boone, to hold an event here in Jerusalem with 77 million Christian Zionists to fight an ideological war. You can shut the door if you would like to. It might be easier on people so they don't get noise. So that was my event. They canceled the event. What? We filmed. I went to the South. I was at a home of a woman, 80 years old. She's got a walker. Her assistant's dead, Holocaust survivor. I went to a bomb shelter filled with children. There's no bathtub. There's no kitchen. There's no chairs or tables. They've been in there 9 days. Dirty. Why are they in there? Post-traumatic stress. Afraid to come out. I wanted to tell the story of the real truth. That Israel wasn't a bunch of aggressive devils that delighted in killing Arabs. So we were going to go live with our Facebook site. By the way, we get about 20,000 comments a week. While my son was going live with, not this event, because this event they canceled, while he was going live, all of a sudden he likes to read comments. Oh my God, 800,000 comments. We didn't know that. He thought maybe it's 50 or 100 because Mark Zuckerberg can pull your Facebook site down. If you post 1 comment, 5 comments, 10 comments, he can pull your site down. 800,000 in one day. And look at the comments. You can put them up on the screen. By the way, I want you to show, let's hold some comments for a second. Those are the kind of posts that were on the screen. But I want you to see who did it. I want you to see one with a picture of the guy who did all these comments. Let's look here. Here, oh, there he is. Look, and there he is down there. I can't believe it. Benjamin Netanyahu posted 800,000 anti-Semitic comments. This picture is 40 years old. It's me and him at the 4th of July, 1980, honoring his brother Yoni at the home of Ben Zion. They stole it from my private Facebook site. They used a virus, and they replicated my Jerusalem Prayer Team site, except they added the word S. So now it's Jerusalem Prayer Teams. Then with the virus, the gentleman who did it is Ahmed Salah. He lives in Jordan. He's Been bragging to Al Jazeera, Jordanian. He did it. He's proud. Everyone's celebrating. We're begging Facebook, oh, please stop this. Please, please stop this. They do nothing. Wednesday. Thursday, they do nothing. Friday, they do nothing. Excuse me, Mr. Zuckerberg, you're a Jew. I got 77 million Christians who want to pray for Jews, and you just canceled our prayers. For what? Because you said, I did this. You said Mike Evans and Benjamin Netanyahu, because our photos are every one of the comments that we post to them. So now, I'm banished from Facebook. Have you heard this story in the media? No, you have not. I went to the Commerce Department with the story. I've shared it with senators. There's complaints. Mike Huckabee, here it is. We removed you for violating our rules against spam and unauthentic behavior. Excuse me. Who did we spam? Ourselves? What unauthentic behavior did we commit? What's going on here, ladies and gentlemen? You're media people. I'm a media person. I've been a journalist for 40 years. I've written 108 books. I'm a #1 New York Times bestseller. I'm not stupid. They'll kick my rear end off the air if I don't get my facts straight. These are the facts. I posted 2.1 million anti-Semitic comments to kill Jews, and Benjamin Netanyahu did too. You say, what's that got to do with what we're dealing with right now? Everything in the world to what you're dealing with right now. So we're banned. We're banned from Facebook. And they're telling us, you're not going to be back up. What did we commit? What's our crime? We're guilty of something. I'll confess. We're Zionists. That's what we're guilty of. They tried us. They convicted us of being Zionist. And they shut us down. Now you tell me, how can one of the largest cyber attacks in American history go unnoticed by the press? Either I'm a pathological liar and belong in a mental institution, or I'm telling you the darn truth. And how can 2.1 million kill the Jews, F the Jews, post, go on Facebook, and no, Facebook not say a word except blame us? So, yeah, I got a little bit angry about that. So here we are today. What are we going to do about it? I'm going to announce it right here with you. On the 1st of July, when the governor of Florida enacts the new social media anti-censor bill, SB 7072, the first lawsuits with an S, because we're going to sue them for about 6 lawsuits, will be the Jerusalem prayer team. I'm inviting all the Republican senators to be on the stage with me. And we're asking Ken Starr to lead our legal team against Facebook. One of the lawsuits will be for 10 cents. We'll sue Facebook for 10 cents damages per day times 77 million Zionists. Now the question. You gave us a nice little speech, Mike, about your pain, personal pain, and also about what you're going through, but that still doesn't have anything to do with us or Israel and its election. Oh, yes, it does. Your election next Monday is not an election for a unity party or a Likud party. It's a vote for or against Zionism. You're not being attacked anymore for being Jews. They're too clever. They attacked you for being a Zionist. So now you have to make a decision, State of Israel. What are we going to do? Will we surrender and apologize for being Zionist? Because now we have an anti-Zionist Arab party as one of our partners. Hallelujah. The Messiah is going to come. And we also have post-Zionist leaders, such as Well, I could name half a dozen of them. So we got post-Zionist and anti-Zionist, and we call it a unity government. Kumbaya. Isn't that wonderful? So what are you going to wave after the election's over? You're going to wave a white flag to radical Islam of surrender, not a blue and white flag, a white flag. Because you're so blinded by your hatred, by your pity politics, and your obsessions with power that you can't see the trees for the forest. If you surrender the core foundation of your nation, which is Zionism, to appease Jew haters, you will do it at Israel's peril. It's going to be as simple as that. Are you going to vote for Zionism, or are you going to vote against Zionism? I vote against it. I'm going to shorten this because I don't want to keep you here too long and get right to the point on a couple of things that are very important. Is the unity government a vote for Zionism? You have to decide that. I can't vote. But I don't get to vote. The seven-seater wants to be your prime minister. I meet with a lot of world leaders. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You've got a prime minister right now that isn't a likable fella. His father wasn't likable either. His father threw me out of the house and called me a moron because I couldn't speak Hebrew. You're a moron. I don't care how many books you wrote. You're a moron. You could have learned it in 4 months. You're a moron. He wasn't very likable either. So you got a prime minister who's not so likable. But I'll tell you one thing. The power brokers of the world trust him. So Israelis don't trust him. Good luck. Tell it to Putin when seven-seater calls. Who's calling? I don't know the guy's name. I only know he's a seven-seater. Seven-seater just called. I don't have time for no seven-seater. You will never. You can't do this alone. Your nation became a superpower under the leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu, an economic giant. How did you get peace with more Muslim countries than all prime ministers combined? How? I know how. Because I'm the guy who briefed the White House. I briefed the White House 2 years before the Abrahamic Accord even happened at the Waldorf Astoria. I briefed them after meeting with Muslim leaders, and I told them this. It was 218, I believe that's correct. I told them this. You're going to have peace with 5 to 6 Arab countries. And by the way, I think that was the month of October. The next month, November, I said it in the Jerusalem Post Summit. And they said, why? Jason Greenblatt said, what? How can this happen? David Friedman, how can this happen? Avi Berkowitz, how can this happen? I said, Bibi Netanyahu. What? TTP. TTP. What is that? Some insecticide? Anti-terror technology for peace. The Muslim leaders were telling me they trusted Bibi Netanyahu, and he's the one that brought that peace, not Donald Trump. I was on Donald Trump's team. We let him get the credit because we wanted him to be reelected. But nobody said thank you to Bibi Netanyahu. He really did it. It's the God-honest truth. It's the God-honest truth. Oh, by the way, speaking of the God-honest truth, when I flew in to brief them, I just met with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And the last word I said to him was, I'm meeting with Bibi Netanyahu tomorrow. Is there anything you want me to tell him? He said, yeah, tell him thank you. Think of it. The Crown Prince, the heir to the throne, wants to say thank you to Bibi Netanyahu. Yet the Israelis don't. We don't want to thank you for anything. So you're going to have an election and you're going to decide the destiny of the nation over the Kool-Aid. And who's going to lead you to the promised land? Are you going to take a flawed man? Indeed, he's a flawed man. And by the way, speaking of flawed men, a little secret. King David was 10 times more flawed. And God called him a man after his own heart. Take it up with God. It's not my problem. Would you do that to King David? Would you say to King David, screw you? We want you out of here. We don't give a blank what God thinks about you. He can call you a man of wrong. We don't like you. We've made our decision. The entire world, Knesset ministers will be watching you. And you're going to have to wave a flag, a white one or a blue and white one. I'm ending this by saying something that's very important. In these meetings that I've had with and by the way, why should they meet with me? I mean, I am a Christian Zionist, and we do have 77 million of them, but I don't get a vote. We just get humored. Oh, did we do anything for you? Yeah, try the recognition of Jerusalem. I can give you 20 things we did for you. And what do we get for that? What do we get for that? Nobody asks us our opinion. You didn't get this from the Jewish community in America. You got it from evangelicals. Donald Trump wouldn't have given you one thing in 4 years if it wasn't for us. Donald Trump showed up in Jerusalem on Jerusalem Day and didn't recognize Jerusalem. I had 220 billboards up and said, Trump, make Israel great. I had a leader, I don't want to say his name, who said to me, he's not going to do it. He's not going to recognize Jerusalem. I said, relax. We have an enormous power over him. It's going to happen and a whole lot more. So I'm going to tell you something. We evangelicals, we don't have any illusions about Bibi Netanyahu's mistakes or faults or imperfections. But we do care about this bird very much. And caring about this bird is causing us to be passionate. We look at your nation and we say, where are you going in the next 12 months, the next year or two? You're on the train. You can't get off. You got a guy who's going to say, I'll take you to the promised land. But you got a freaking mushroom cloud with the same team that Obama had that wants that. Do you think anyone's going to stand up like Bibi Netanyahu did? Forget it. It won't be happening in your lifetime. Now I'll end this by saying this. I've been meeting with these MKs all day long. And I've talked to 4 of them who told me they will bail. They will bail. They're only waiting for the first one to lead. They said, we're not standing with this unity party with Arab anti-Zionists. We're not going to support it. We're coming out of it, but we don't want to be the first one. So once the first one breaks, 3 more are going to be right behind them. Bibi Netanyahu's death was greatly exaggerated. We're not, Shimon Peres was my hero. I loved him dearly. And we are not into this thing to promote Bibi Netanyahu. There's one thing, I'll close with this. I said to my wife when I married her, I got to be honest with you, there's another woman in my life that I love more than you. What? Yeah. I got to be with her. I have to be with her all the time. Her name is Israel. She looked at me, she said, what? I said, I swear to God, I'm so in love with this woman, I got to be with her a lot. Okay, honey, I'll sign on to that. But if she ever calls me on the phone, I'm going to kill you. Well, she never called me on the phone. I'm done talking, so if you have any questions, please feel free. Yes, ma'am. Well, why don't you identify who you are in your name?
My name is Judy Moss. I work for Haaretz newspaper. I'm the woman with the mean face.
I think...
I have a few questions for you.
Yeah, give her a mic, because she needs to be on. Let them bring you a mic.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Questions for you. First of all, I think you're a little confused. You keep talking about this election we have. We had an election more than 3 months ago, and most of the people in this country voted for parties that do not support your friend, Bibi Netanyahu. So I want to know what you have to say about that.
Well, you're giving
And
me.
wait.
Wait a second. You're a journalist. Don't give me a lecture. Ask your question.
I'm not.
I'm a
I asked,
journalist
what
too.
do you say about that? Are you saying that
You have
how the
another
people
one?
of this country
Listen.
voted doesn't count? Is that what
you
you're
have
saying?
another one?
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions.
No, you're going to get two.
Okay, so number two, you keep talking about the dangers of this new government and mentioning the fact that there's an anti-Zionist Arab party that will be part of it. But your friend, Bibi Netanyahu, was also negotiating with that same anti-Zionist Arab party, and I'd like to get some comment from you on that as well.
Well, let me just say this. You're an Israeli, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
I've been coming here for 40 years, going to funerals, hundreds of them. During unity governments, we're going to unite everyone. Unity governments. She said, my daughter, I couldn't find her. The only thing I could find was I did her nails that morning. Unity governments produce widows and orphans, making big, grandiose promises because they didn't have the strength to stand up to the devils. Listen, you think it's popular for me to do what I'm doing? I'm getting the living blank kicked out of me by my own people, insulting me. Are you a nut job? Why would you want to get involved in this fight? You're not even Israeli. Because I'm tired of going to funerals. I'm tired of going to funerals. Somebody else.
I don't think you've answered my question.
Then good, I'm not going to answer it.
David Sidman, Israel 365 News. We appreciate that you apologized to Naftali Bennett. And obviously, we appreciate all the support that Christian Zionists give Israel.
Yeah.
But a threat you made still stands, saying that you will fight the Israeli government every step of the way.
No, I didn't say that. Let me get what I said. That's good.
I have
That's
a
good.
direct quote.
No, I'll give you the exact quote.
reading
Here,
it.
I know what I said. I'll tell. Can I give it to you?
Of course.
Okay. Here's what I said. Bibi Netanyahu, unfortunately, it's probably unfortunate, but it's the truth, is the only man in the world that unites evangelicals. Donald Trump didn't. He united some of us, not all of us. Bibi Netanyahu has united us for a very, very long time. The evangelicals are going to stand with Bibi Netanyahu. The evangelicals are not two-staters. They're not going to support.
I don't think Naftali Bennett is either.
But I can tell you a whole lot of people in that unity government are. And you know that too. Now, here's what I said. If Bibi Netanyahu goes in the opposition, we evangelicals, my 77 million, will go into the opposition with him. We'll still support the state of Israel, but we're not going to have the same position we've had because we won't have trust. And trust is everything. That's it. Another question. Yes, sir.
from Newsrael.
Yes, sir.
Technically, after being banned from Facebook, what do you plan? How would you plan your
Well,
future
that's a
approach
good
to
question.
77 million.
I spent $100 million building the biggest social network campus in the state of Israel because a genius, not me, a genius, Shimon Peres, told me over 30 years ago, the new wars of the 21st century were going to be ideological wars of ideas. And 40% of the world will not watch cable television and newspaper. So I built the campus to wage war with ideas. Now, Zuckerberg just dropped an atomic bomb on us. Yes, he's damaged us. We will sue him and we'll win. But how long it will take, might take us a year or two. Ultimately, we're going to win. But that 2 years or 1 year, 77 million Zionists can't pray together. They can't pray together. And by the way, the Jerusalem prayer team is also a church. My son's the pastor of it. It's the largest church in the world. We have over 1 million members. They can't even worship anymore. They can't read scriptures together because little God has decreed that we are guilty. Now, I don't know if little God, what he decreed, I don't even know, honestly, if Zuckerberg had anything to do with this. He might have been on vacation. But Facebook did it. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Hear me? So, there's one of the main concepts of Israel in terms of the connection with America is to be bipartisan. And you're saying that the evangelicals, at least the group that you represent, will be part of the opposition. What if you see acts that you agree with, acts that you support? And what do you mean when you say, I will fight you every step of the way? You've lost the support of evangelicals 100%. And we're talking about a person who's connected to the biblical ideas of the land of Israel. We're talking about 3 parties that are from the right, 2 other parties that are for central and call for sovereignty in Jordan Valley and act very, very strongly for the right of Israel. Many of these parties, many of these
You
represent
are right
this.
about that.
So why don't you
and
just, at
what
this point, what do you
so
mean
let
to
me
do?
give more clarification. Thank you. Number one, let's take an example. Mr. Bennett has, in fact, been very, very strong Zionist against the 2-state solution. So let's say Mr. Bennett comes one day and says, you know what, I think it's a 2-state solution. I can tell you this, I met with 2 MKs today in this hotel who told me it's over. The day he does that, we're out. We're going to throw out the government. Now, that encouraged me. I thought, God bless those 2. It's not that bad, and Bennett shouldn't. Huh?
He would say that about himself as well.
Exactly. So you are right. Now, if Bennett takes positions that we support, we'll support him. Here's the problem. I probably am not a good spokesman right now because I had the living hell beat out of me these last 2 weeks by Facebook. I haven't slept more than 2 hours a night. I was here, how much, a week ago, 2 weeks ago near? Yeah. And no sleep for 4 days because of this threat. So I'm probably a lousy spokesperson right now. I flew in last night, I'm flying out tonight. But I'm doing my best under the circumstance. We love Israel, and we're not going to turn on Israel, no sir. Somebody else? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. And yeah, one more.
Hi, sorry, my name is Nicole Jansian. I work for All Israel News with
Yeah.
Joel Rosenberg. I just, we've run several stories. There's much of the evangelical world does not agree with your position.
Well, you're not correct. You're not correct because much of the evangelical world is us. When you've got 77 million followers, how many does Joel have?
But how do you know that all of your...
Excuse me, I'm asking you a question. How many does Joel have?
How do you know...
Pardon me, you can't, you won't answer the question? You won't answer the question? Will you answer the question?
Well, I don't know.
Well, then go find out. It's probably a few 100,000. Listen, Joel's a good guy, and I know Joel, but I don't represent 90% of the evangelicals of the world. Do not. Zippo, only about 10%. The 10% I represent on steroids. I didn't build a $100 million campus because they're not supporting what I'm doing. You don't see anybody in Israel delivering those kind of funds. I'm done.
Damaged relations between Christians and the Jewish state of Israel?
Are you kidding me? Tell that to Dietrich Bonhoeffer or Corrie ten Boom during the Holocaust. You think they damaged relationships for standing up for the Jewish people against Jew haters? I showed you these demonic attacks. Now, if 2.1 million attacks, these get Jews killed. You only have to believe one of them. Rabbi Goldstein, you know who he is in San Diego, Poway? I'm the guy who provided the security for 24 hours a day for his synagogue for the next year. One idea almost got him killed and got a lady killed. So we believe there's an ideological war. We're fighting it. We're proud of it. And we're not apologizing. You're done. Anybody else?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
If your worst nightmare comes true and this new unity government is formed, how will you respond to that? Is that it? You're done with Israel?
No. I'm not going away. I promised Menachem Begin. He asked me to build a bridge. No, I said it wrong. I asked him if I could build a bridge. He laughed at me and said, you want to build the Brooklyn Bridge? No. I said a bridge between Christian Zionists and Jewish Zionists. He said, I like it. Let's do it together. So I made him some promises, and I haven't broke one of my promises. We're going to stand with the Jewish people. You know, my wife said to me when I left, she said, honey, you're getting a lot of death threats. Are you got your guns loaded? I said to her, baby, I got my spiritual guns loaded. I said, if they show up in my door to put a bullet between my eye, I'll have the biggest smile on my face, because I would consider it an honor to give my life for God's chosen people. And don't send anybody to their funeral to grieve over me. Celebrate it, that I had the courage to do the right thing. I'm driven because of my father and what he did to my mother. And I'm not going to back down for anybody. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Question, do you think you'll see?
Who you met with today, representatives of what party?
I am not telling you anything because I gave them my word I would keep my mouth shut.
But do you feel that there will be results from what you, like you talked to them and everyone was nice and everything, but do you feel that there will be results from your activities?
I
now?
can only tell you that 4 of them said they're ready to bolt and they're waiting for the first one. And they said it's all going to come over the Arabs in the party. They said the first one that bolts, 3 more are going to be right behind them. They don't want to be the first one. Hey, listen, guys, I've been up. I got a fight to catch.
If Netanyahu gets a bus to back his government, will you continue supporting Netanyahu?
Excuse me?
If Netanyahu gets the Arab Party to back his government, will you continue supporting Netanyahu?
You know what? I probably would, and I'll tell you why. Because Netanyahu is as dumb as a fox, and there's no way in the world he's going to be screwed by the Arab Party. Good night. Thank you so much.